if you're even thinking about it, the level 2 is a brilliant place to start, to just cut your teeth into, and we learn some excellent techniques. You know, life teaches you a lot of lessons, and he who dares wins. And if you don't try, how do you know? And the main reason is that I'm a media coach, and in short, I prepare people for their press engagement. So if they've got interviews coming up, I will help them kind of declutter their brain and help them prepare the kind of questions that they want to give before speaking to journalists. And that was all great, but as my career has progressed with that, more and more people in the last sort of few years have come to me with anxiety questions and these kind of mental health related issues that I just don't have the tools, or didn't have, to help them. And so I could help them with the how to answer your questions, but I couldn't help them with how to manage their anxiety. So I felt it my responsibility really to be able to come on a course and help me help them. And that's what brought me coming to Astranti. Well, the interesting thing, I was thinking about this a little earlier on. I believe it started for me that I was looking on the Open University website. And you know, I don't have any A levels, or I have got an A level, but God, it was a long time ago actually. But I don't have any other kind of, I didn't go to university or anything like that. But I kind of fancied, you know, let's start with an open university and be optimistic. And from there, on their website, it started to lead me to the CPCAB website. And then from the CPCAB website, obviously being an official body, Astranti was in the list there. And so from then on, I was looking at it from a geographical perspective. I am predominantly based in the southwest currently, and Astranti were close. And obviously I looked at the reviews, and they got some good reviews. And so I just sort of took pot luck and dived in, really. Well, interesting you say that, because what I decided to do was do the in-person training, but it still would be around about a sort of a 50-minute journey for me to get to Plymouth, or just that, I think it's Ivy Bridge, where your nearest centre is for me. So I had actually originally thought I was going to do it in person because it made sense. Again, with sort of counselling, it's person to person. But then I think I got an email saying that you had an online alternative, and I just thought, actually, maybe better for the environment, not using the car so much, and, you know, having a little bit of a conscience there. And I haven't studied for a long time, so maybe there was a little bit of me that thought, I don't know how this is going to go for me. So by choosing the online option, I also help care for my mother, and I'm available. She was going through a particularly difficult time with her illness, and so it just made me more available to be here for her. So there was a number of factors really, but mainly, I suppose, convenience for how my circumstances were at the time. Well, I suppose, you know, I'm in my 50s, so I haven't been in a classroom environment for a very long time. So my particular anxiety, I suppose, was in relation to getting back and being in a class with people. I'd done other kind of online courses in the past, but they weren't in a classroom scenario. And the exam, I knew there was going to be an exam at the end of it. That concerned me because I'm not naturally I don't consider myself an academic that is good at sitting and passing exams. That's not what I'm good at. If anything, I would say I'm a very practically minded person. I'm good. If you show me what to do, I can do it. And if I have any thread of intelligence, it comes from kind of that side of the brain rather than, you know, being able to do exams in the more sort of traditional sense. So that concerned me a lot. So that was my biggest anxiety. But, you know, life teaches you a lot of lessons, and he who dares wins. And if you don't try, how do you know? And I'm very much of the opinion that the failure is not to try. You know, you don't fail by trying. It may not work out for you. It may not be what you expected it to be. By trying, you will know if it is right for you or not. But to sit on the fence and not try, that for me is the biggest failing for me personally. So that was my biggest worry, was that I'm not an academic, and I wondered whether I would have the nous to be able to do the course and do myself justice. Yeah, it's interesting because you would think in a class online where you've got you know, just faces, and you've got that barrier that is the you know, your computer, you're not sat in a room, that you wouldn't get worried about kind of talking about yourself. And I am somebody that does public speaking. I moderate Q&A sessions, and I'm used to being within a public arena, but I got nervous even, you know, having to talk about myself again, and, you know, what inspired me to do the class in front of faces that I've not seen before. So, but what I found, I know like a lot of my class members found it difficult to kind of with the technical aspects of, you know, logging online. I was lucky. In my previous life, before being a journalist and media coach, I worked in IT. So the technical aspects of that, I think it was daunting for a few people, where for me, I set up my own website, you know, so that kind of side of it wasn't a stretch for me. Hopefully I was able to help other of my classmates with any kind of problems that they used to have. And you know, I think we have to expect that with any kind of course that's online, there can be technical issues, and I think there may have been a few kind of teething problems in the beginning, but certainly nothing that that spoil my enjoyment of the course. And I just found the convenience of the online course, particularly again, because as I say, I was new to learning, was really kind of beneficial. So for me, it wasn't a problem doing online. Well, I think what you guys did, which was really great, was we were never there was never like a great amount of homework. Yes, there was work to do, you know, out of hours, which I was really happy to do. But you're certainly not over, you know, for somebody who has a lot of commitments, you're not overburdened. You know, obviously this is a counselling and psychotherapy course. So you guys are very aware of not giving us so much to do that it's going to become overwhelming. So for me, what was really, really important, and this is probably comes from my journalistic background, where I'm a little bit obsessive about research and things like that, is that I would always allow myself time for not only my course, which obviously was a day course, but also I would allow myself the day after, or at least, you know, half a day during the next week before my next lessons, so that I could actually sort of dedicate my time and switch off and go, okay, I'm unavailable until, you know, X amount of time. But that's the way I work, and the kind of way I structure myself. I made sure that I wasn't just dedicating that Friday for my course, but I also allowed time for if there was homework to do, because we also, as part of it, we all have to write our journals. We still start journaling. That's also part of, you know, your homework. So for me, it was about not just saying I've got X amount of time to do the course, but also giving myself X amount of time to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do weekly. extracurricular to know that if I've got any work or and we will, there will be work to do. But yeah, it was definitely organising myself and not just saying, oh, I've just got time to do the class and that's it. I think that the most paramount lesson that we learn from the course about listening, kindness, being non-judgmental, all those kind of key principles to the foundations of person-centered counselling. That's what I really took away from me. I think if all of us as human beings were to apply that in our day-to-day life and be kind and non-judgmental, wouldn't the world just be a better place? And what I hope is that I really took away from me, I don't want to say about being a better human being because it sounds a little bit corny, but they are kind of vital ingredients of what makes us human. And I think I would like to think that I've taken that away with me, that they are, core principle. The core principles are, it's not just about being a counsellor, it's about what makes us all decent human beings. Well, it's never easy really looking at yourself, is it? And maybe recognizing your own faults and foibles and kind of, I think, looking and addressing, what makes you tick and reflecting on that. I think the hardest part is really, or one of the hardest parts is looking at yourself and recognizing maybe some of the behaviors that are good and are not so good, and then how you can evolve from looking at yourself. I think the day-to-day kind of parts of the course, because I am a journalist, so asking questions and listening for me was a core part of my technique. So those active listening skills that we're taught, that kind of side of the practical nature of the course didn't really scare me or concern me, because yes, could I improve? Oh yes, of course, there's always room for improvement, but those kind of basic skills came quite naturally to me because that's kind of how I conduct myself in my work. The hard part for me was not asking questions, so the nudges and finding different ways to get people talking that actually isn't as direct as asking questions. That definitely made me think, the challenge about facing and doing an exam, which turns out not a traditional form of exams. We can, we're given our exams. We do a mock exam obviously in the beginning, and not in the beginning, but towards the when we're towards the end of the course before we do our exam, and then we're given a week to actually do the exam in our own time. So that was something else that that I was anxious about. But again, the whole great thing about counselling and psychotherapy is that everybody, they understand that everybody has a different way of learning and accessing learning, and a different way to a more person-centered approach to accrediting us in a practical way, I suppose, but not putting people in a position that you've got to hurry up and do an hour exam or something. You know what I mean? I don't know where this is going to end for me, in the sense that I want to keep pushing this for as long as I can keep going. So definitely my level 3, my sights are definitely within the purview of becoming counsellor and psychotherapist. I definitely want to qualify with that, and I would definitely like to continue to take this much further than where I am now. Where I'm going to end up, I don't know, but that for me is part of the journey. I'm doing this because it just feels right for me at this point in my life, and I've been on a very long journey to get here, and hopefully, as I said earlier on, I'm in my 50s. I don't have a problem with that. So I would hopefully like other people who are, in my stage of life, that have done very many different things, that it doesn't have to stop and that you can continue to learn. And what I hope is that I'll continue to learn. I have no doubt I'm going to continue to learn about more about myself, whether I want to or not. But yeah, for me, it's I don't know where it's going to take me, but that's kind of part of the fun of it. And I'm on a roll. Do it. It's just as simple as that. Do it, and believe in yourself. If you've got any hesitation, I suppose it's sort of circling back to what I said a little bit earlier on. For me, the failure is not to try. And at level 2, it's so accessible, and there is something in the course for everybody. The way the Astranti have designed the course, it taps into all of our different elements of. It's made it accessible for different people and how they can learn. So we'll do presentations. So I'm quite arty, I'm quite creative. So I'm out with PowerPoint, and and we all had the opportunity to work together to create and bounce off each other. The other thing that's really great is that you learn from one another. And specifically, I mean, I was very lucky with the group that I was with. We were all very compassionate people. We did want to learn and help work with each other and help each other and encourage each other. So I was very fortunate in the group that I was with. But if you're even just thinking about it, I think, what have you got to lose by trying? Absolutely nothing.